Welcome to problem 5.25, A, B, and C. These problems come from section 5.2 in your textbook, calculations using molar mass. Okay. A asks how many grams of the compound or hydrocarbon C3H8 are in 1.50 moles of propane. Okay, this is where we are going to use molar mass. Okay, and so the first thing that we always do is we write out what we're given. So we're given 1.50 moles of C3H8. Okay, and we go ahead and write out our next step. And we know that we have to have moles of C3H8 on the bottom so that our units will cancel. Okay, so really all we're doing here is converting from moles to grams of propane. Okay, so the key here is that we've got to add up the molar mass for C3H8. Okay, so if you use your periodic table, you can see that carbon has an atomic mass of 12.01. Okay, but we have three of these. So 12.01 times 3, or plus 12.01 plus 12.01. Okay, and then for hydrogen, 1.008. So 1.008. And we have 8 of these, so we have to account for 8. Alright, so if we add all of this up, so if we take 12, maybe just be easier to take 12.01 times 3 and 1.008 times 8. Okay, so if we do the math here, so let's just go ahead and walk through it. Okay, so we get about 36.03, and for the hydrogens, we get about 8.064. So when we add these together, we get about 44.1 grams. Okay, the mastering rounds, it looks like, to 3 significant digits here, to one decimal place. Okay, and so if we have 44.1 grams, it's going to go on top because that's what we are trying to find, and we don't want it to be canceled out. And whenever we use the periodic table to come up with molar mass, it's always based on 1 mole. Okay, so now our moles will cancel. And when you do the math here, so 1.05 times 44.1, get about 66.15 grams of C3H8. Okay, and so depending on, usually mastering will tell you to round to a specific number of significant digits. Okay, but if we were to look here, we're starting with 3. Okay, so we would put in 66.2. Okay, it should specify, or if you start with 3, we're going to end with 3 significant digits. Okay, we move on to B. It's very similar, except we're starting with grams and we're converting to moles. We're going from grams to moles. Okay, so we have 34.0 grams of C3H8. Okay. So now the only difference is that the grams that we came up with, our molar mass, is now going to be in the denominator. So 44.1 grams per 1 mole of C3H8. Okay, so now our grams will cancel, and our moles is left not canceled on top because that's what we're trying to find. Okay, and so if we do the math, 34.0 divided by 44.1, we should get about 0.077 grams of C3H8. Okay, and just to be specific here, we've just got I think mastering asks for just 2 significant digits. Can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, but we really get about Okay, we should get, sorry about that, accidentally put in 3.40 grams instead of 34.0. Caught my mistake here. So if we divide 34.0 by 44.1, and we're looking for 3 significant digits, then we would get 0.771 grams of C3H8. Part C of 5.25 probably gives students the most trouble. So we're going to go through this one. There won't be very many. I think maybe even just 1 problem on your exam like this. Okay, so most of the problems are going to be grams to moles, moles to grams, and not going to be quite this difficult. Not that it's that difficult, but just a little bit different. The book doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, so I think that's the problem. Okay, so if we start with what we know, so we've got grams. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what we're trying to find. We've got to figure that out. So we need grams of just carbon in propane. Okay, so propane is C3H8. Okay, so we've got 3 carbons and 8 hydrogens. Okay, we want to know just how much of propane is just carbon. So what's the mass of just carbon in propane? Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is convert from grams to moles. Okay, just like we had done previously. Okay, so we're going to put our, just like from above, because we have to get to units of just carbon. Okay, so we have units of propane here. So now we have moles of propane. Okay, so we know our next step, we're going to have moles of propane here. Okay, and this is where you just look at your formula. Okay, and we would say that we have in 1 mole, okay, so we're considering this whole molecule to be 1. In 1 mole of propane, okay, we have 3, where does 3 come from? We have 3 moles of carbon. Okay, so now we have changed our units from propane to just carbon by using our formula. Okay, and now we just convert from moles to grams. So in 1 mole of carbon, okay, and if we look on the periodic table, we see that the atomic mass of carbon is 12.01 grams. So now our moles will cancel. Okay, so if we do the math here, if we multiply 34.0 times 3 times 12.01, and we divide that by 44.1, we get about 27.8 grams of carbon in propane. I hope this helps for a problem similar to 5.25. Thank you.